Morning, guys. How are you? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone is somewhere behind me. This is episode, I'm not even sure, 125 or something of Tottenham Walks. Hope you're all happy, healthy, doing the things that you love, with those that you love doing them with. I hope you are all, somewhat on the come down after your Christmas festivities. Obviously, disappointing performance and result against Brentford on Boxing Day. Man, you know what, guys? I was supposed to do a Tottenham walk yesterday. I came out walking with Bugsy, and I tried to record a video about 10 different times, and I just didn't know how to approach it because I didn't really want to talk about the game that much. I wanted to talk about the reaction to the game. I mean, I'm going to try and say it today, see if I can say it in a way that doesn't offend people, but like the stuff that I'm seeing, reading in WhatsApp groups and on YouTube and in Twitter, I swear you'd think we've just been relegated. To me, drawing away at Brentford, a team that's smashed Manchester United this season at home and beaten Manchester City away relatively recently, drawing away at Brentford is not a bad result at all, especially when they had the vast majority of their players around for that 6-week period. We didn't. We had 4 or 5 players missing. They didn't. Their very best player showed up, and they effected and executed a strategy that took care of our vulnerabilities in the air and down the right-hand side. I thought for us to come back 2-0, for us to nearly snatch a win, I thought the reaction was a little bit over the top. And I guess it's because other teams that also had large departees over the World Cup period, they came back, and immediately after our game, they went on to win theirs. We dropped points relative to everybody else that we're fighting with at the moment. I understand it. And of course the second half FC thing where, we just don't turn up until the second half kicks off. And by that point, we've already shot ourselves in the foot. I understand why people are super frustrated and disappointed. But in the grand scheme of things, the point away at Brentford shouldn't invoke, in my opinion, such a disastrous reaction from everyone, as though, like I say, it felt like everyone had thrown the toys out of the pram. And also, the anger wasn't really aimed at the team. It was aimed at Daniel Levy and ENIC. And I'm not entirely sure what they can or could have done about the performance. The transfer window hasn't even opened yet. And because Liverpool announced that they've signed Cody Gakpo, and I guess Arsenal have announced that they're close to signing Mudryk, and maybe because Chelsea are also heavily linked with Badiashile and João Felix, I understand the frustrations around, that they've come out. Our biggest rivals have used that 6-week process to identify, communicate with, and essentially establish deals that will be formally recognised at the start of January. I totally get the frustration. But our window hasn't even opened yet. And people are already writing it off as though it's a failure. And that ENIC and Daniel Levy have got to go. And whilst, look, that might be true. Maybe by the February the 1st, I've said it 1,000 times, should we screw this window up, then I'll have no choice but to join the waves of people that are asking for them to sell the club. I think it's about time they sold the club, regardless of how well the window goes. I'm never going to reflect on the past with Daniel Levy and ENIC the same way that people who are vehement ENIC out people do, because I view it in a different lens and consider other things to be more contextually important than I guess other people do. But the reaction to drawing to Brentford being aimed at Levy when they haven't had a chance really to do anything yet. The only thing that, if we had announced the deal yesterday as well, but most clubs, like only 2 clubs have done that. Only 1 club have actually officially done it. So it's not really a par for the course mechanism. I just find the whole thing a bit kind of crazy. I think everyone's incredibly frustrated and worried. And again, you know, if they don't take that final £50 million, which doesn't look like they're going to, then I don't really understand the reasons or the rationale as to why not. And I understand that it's also frustrating to hear that, you know, Conte say we're going to try and make signings where we can, but they have to stick to the club's policy of young, talented and low-wage demands. And, you know, that's just Tottenham's policy. That's always been Tottenham's policy, generally speaking, hasn't it? So I'm not sure why those policies would change. And I don't necessarily think that there's any particular dearth or massive hole in the talent pool that fits that model. There's still plenty of players out there that Tottenham can sign that fit that model. You know, for example, today we've been linked with Martin Terrier, I don't know how you say his last name, Terrier, I think, the Rennes left wing forward. Also been, I think he's 25 years old, same age as Bentancur was when we signed him. Very talented player. Again, not sure it's the position or the priority that we need. And we're going to speak about that in just a second. But alongside him, we've been linked with that 21-year-old from Sporting Lisbon, Manuel Ugarte, the Uruguayan player. Love him. Really, really impressive when I've seen him play in the Champions League and for Uruguay. You know, tough, all-action midfielder, old-school kind of Roy Keane type, crunching midfielder. He's only 21 years old. But again, is it a position that we need to prioritise? Probably not. So I scratched my head with the links. I scratched my head with the rationale. But listen, I think that there's not a Tottenham fan alive, whether you're wherever you're from in the world, whatever stance you have on Levy or Inic, every single person is uniformly in agreement that our biggest weaknesses are at centre-back and at the right wing-back spot. And the former of those 2 positions, the centre-back spot, was exposed once again at Brentford, with Eric Dyer doing what he has done too frequently, almost on a weekly basis at the moment. His confidence is at the lowest ebb I've ever seen from him. And with that comes shaky performances, individual mistakes that often get punished. And then to hear after the game in the post-match press conference that Conte doesn't think we need centre-backs. You know, at that point, this is where I start to struggle with some of the narrative that I hear and read in the WhatsApp groups and on the YouTube stuff. I do find that there is a lot of cherry picking of news items or quotes or whatever is coming out, whether legitimate or illegitimate. People cherry pick the stories that they want to push the narrative or the agenda that they have and dismiss the things that don't conform to that. And I've seen a lot of people saying, you know, yesterday or the day before, after that quote came out, that it's taken out of context. He couldn't clearly have translated it properly. He didn't understand what he was saying, or that now he's just saying that to keep face with Daniel Levy, and that we shouldn't pay any attention to that. All of our anguish and hate and energy needs to be applied to blaming Daniel Levy for a game of football. Now, I'm someone that will always say, judge the owners on the windows, judge the coach and the players on the matches. You know, I don't think that's unreasonable. Yet the reaction that I've seen over the last 48 hours, not only do I think it was blown a little bit out of proportion because of the difficulty of the fixture, but I also think the crazy amounts of pessimism that I'm seeing regarding our window before it's even opened is I don't know. I think putting the cart before the horse a little bit. Now, I might be proven to be wrong. I might be proven that these guys were prescient and that they knew what was coming before it happened and that there were no signings or what we did sign didn't help. And should that be the case, I'll say, yep, time to go. And I'll be, I guess, having to eat a little bit of humble pie because I'm, in my opinion, wrongly positioned as a Levy in, purely because I'm not Levy out. But whatever, people can say what they say. In reality, I just treat the news as I find it, and my opinions are subject to re-evaluation as new information emerges. But guys, I gotta be honest, I'm gonna wrap this up in a second. I just feel like the vibes in the community right now are just so bleak, and I'm not sure why it's gone from, like, I guess, logical skepticism to downright pessimism to abject pessimism in the space of 48 hours after a result that isn't necessarily a bad one anyway. Make that make sense for me, guys. Let me know if you think feeling the same. Like, share and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. As always, guys, bye-bye.